The Canberra Raiders, they're young, they're exciting, but what does their best 17 look like? The Zero Tackle team here, we've made our call and we're going to break it down for you in this video. But before we do that, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. We have heaps of NRL content coming out for you and you want to be notified about it. So with all that being said, Canberra Raiders, best 17, let's go. Before we get into it, don't forget zerotackle.com is the #1 independent destination for all your NRL news, player movement, and now games. Check out our latest game, NRL Streaker. Test out your footy stats knowledge, challenge your mates, and see if you can get your name on the leaderboard. Alright, and here to break down the best 17 for the Canberra Raiders, it is Darren Parkin, expert analyst, Zero Tackle analyst. So, Raiders, they're quite young. Their future looks pretty bright, but they did lose a lot of experience in the offseason.
Yeah, not the easiest 17 to put together due to some of those changes and the youth coming in. And when we look at senior players, Whitehead, Jordan Rapana, of course, heading to the UK to join Hull and the important role that he played in that lineup that they have to replace. They were already a pretty young squad, which led itself to a bit of inconsistency, that they're always in the mix to play finals. They've just fell short. And I think it's probably going to be a similar story for them, and it just comes down to how quickly the younger players can find consistency to turn, say, winning 11 or 12 games into winning 14 and getting yourself some finals experience.
Yep, absolutely. Looking forward to this one. So let's get started with the backs. All right, starting with the #1. This one was starting off with an interesting one. So KO Weeks, we've named as fullback.
We have, yeah. I mean, most sides obviously would have liked this role locked away, but Jordan Rapana off in England now, so they've had to replace that role within their lineup. And Xavier Savage for a long time was touted for this, but has settled on a wing and made that his home. So that basically they've got to work out whether they go experience or youth. So KO Weeks, the experienced option. Chevy Stewart's an up-and-comer who they might see play that role a bit through the course of the season. I think he'll play some football, but I think the ex-Sea Eagle will get the nod and KO Weeks will wear the one.
Yep. And then, so the wingers, now we've got Albert Hopewade and then Xavier Savage in the other wing.
Yeah, Xavier Savage, #1 try scorer at the club. He'll certainly start in that role. As we said, he's made that his own. Albert Hopewade is a genuine powerhouse. He'll settle on the wing. He's played nearly every job, or had nearly every job on the ground for them at various points. They've also got Tamale, who joined the club from the Dragons during the off-season, who I think will be the first backup option for them. So developing some depth in that role, but I think the other big man will start in the 5.
Yep. And then in the centres, Sebastian Kris and Matthew Tomoko.
Yeah, these spots are locks unless there are significant injuries, I would think. I mean, Hopewade can come in and fill a role if they need. Ethan Strange can come in and fill a role if they need it at 5/8. Well, he's at 5/8 at the moment. But, I think barring injury, it's going to be Tomoko and Kris at 3 and 4.
Yep. And then rounding out the backs, we have the halves, so Ethan Strange and Jamal Fogarty.
Yeah, I gave that one away in the last, but yeah, not the easiest decision for Ricky Stewart overall. Strange, pretty good through 2024. He'll get first crack alongside the old boy Fogarty, who comes in with a lot of experience. And we've got another Ethan in Sanders waiting in the wings to potentially slot into that role if required. Yep.
All right, so looking at the props, we have Josh Papali and Joseph Tapine.
Yeah, an experienced duo in the props led by the skipper. Obviously, they bring a fair bit of polish and leadership into that role as well. And you round that out with Morgan Smithies in the lock role. Now he'll face a bit of pressure. I'm confident he'll probably start. Corey Horsburgh will complicate matters, almost left the club, but stayed there, and obviously that's he's one that can put a bit of pressure on in those roles.
Yep. And Hudson Young and Zach Hosking as the second roles.
Yeah, I mean, Hudson Young, an absolute lock around the mark for Origin, an aggressive, competitive beast. Some of his numbers were very impressive. Second for tries and first for line breaks over the season at the club. So that's an important one for them. And then Zach Hosking, this second role in that lineup isn't as clear-cut. He gets the nod, but he is under a bit of a fitness cloud, so he might be racing the clock to get to round 1. Ex-Brit Matt Nicholson, who's come across, could be in the mix and may well play very early.
Yep, and just the last one, the #9. So we've gone with Danny Levi, but it's a bit of a contentious one there. They've been left a bit thin.
Yeah, they have been, yeah. It's almost a 50-50. So you got Danny Levi, Tom Starling's another one to battle it out. I think they'll both play a bit through the season. Depends on impact and maybe even horses for courses, depending on who they're playing and what stage of the season they're at. But we've gone with Danny to start, but a pretty tight run thing.
Yep. And rounding out the best 17, Interchange. So we've mentioned a few of these: Tom Starling, Corey Horsburgh, Matty Nicholson, and Trey Mooney.
Yeah, Matty Nicholson on injury standby could play very early. Tom Starling in that sort of 50-50 battle for the hooker role. Corey Horsburgh was potential departure, as we say, but has stuck around. And there's a lot of players. I mean, Atta Mariota, who we'll mention a little bit later, is a bit stiff not to be in that squad. Trey Mooney getting the last bench spot over him. Throw in the Martin brothers and a few others as well. They've got a bit of depth. They're just trying to obviously lock in what the best winning formula for them is going forward.
All right, so that's our full best 17 for the Raiders. So looking at that list now, so Mariota, as you mentioned, not quite making it.
Yeah, if you assess his career, he's almost never done anything wrong or stepped out of line. And yeah, I mean, when people hear that, that's probably the name that jumps out as not featuring in the 17, but extremely close. And since the Samoan national will play a bit of football, 23 years of age, good size to him, got a lot of weapons, and yeah, he's the one who's probably a little bit unlucky. But it's sign that your list is in a pretty good place if he doesn't land in the starting 17.
Yeah, absolutely. So it will be pretty interesting to watch him this year. Can they sort of reshuffle without sliding down?
Yeah, that's the key. I mean, they've lost a bit of experience and leadership. A couple more kids getting opportunities. They've still got, I mean, a lot of their best players from last year are still there. So I think they'll win double-figure games. It's just, whether it's 11 or, as we say, closer to 14.
Yep, absolutely. So that is our full best 17 for the Raiders this year. Let us know in the comments what you think. Should Mariota be in there? Or is there somebody else that you think should be in there, or somebody that you want to pull out of there? Just jump in that comment section. Go crazy.
And be kind.
And be kind. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. We have plenty of NRL content coming out this year. It's going to be a big year for Zero Tackle on YouTube. And catch all the latest NRL news at zerotackle.com.